Hello, my name is Genevieve, and this is my presentation on myth, culture, and storytelling, the concept of the modern myth and myths as an evolving and ambiguous narratives. So, myth in video games. What is a myth and how do we see it in video games? When it comes to video games, myth is not just in the narrative, it's embedded in the gameplay as well. Games reinterpret myth through world building, character archetypes, and rituals. Now, what is a modern myth? Modern myth is the retelling of an old legend through an otherwise modern medium. Modern myths take tech, horror, and faith when trying to explain the otherwise unexplainable chaos. So, today, I'll be connecting this concept of the modern myth with the game Faith. Faith, the Unholy Trinity is a game developed by Airdorf Games and published by New Blood Interactive. It was the first released on GameJolt, itch.io, and IndieDB in 2017. Faith stood out amongst the other indie games that same year. The game aimed to replicate the nostalgic feel of the 1980s NES games and horror films, Despite its lo-fi visuals, Faith was able to achieve an intense buildup of horror, gore, and religious psychosis. This game borrows a lot from the Christian myths, such as demons, possession, and rituals through its places these subjects from Christian myth in an eerie and uncanny setting. So in the game, the player controls Father Ward, a, a formal he was formerly a Catholic priest from New York, and in the intro of the game, it introduces Father Ward as a serious man of faith, determined in his journey to complete a failed exorcism. In the game, Father Ward um, uh, goes with Garcia to investigate the Martin family home for a case of demon possession. Demons in the game are not just trying to kill Father Ward; they taunt and guilt them. For example, Amy Martin is the one possessed by a demon that Father Ward and Garcia are looking for, and is the botched exorcism that Ward performed in the past. As she targets Ward, she makes him feel guilty for failing to save her and takes on a monstrous, gory form, much akin to demons in Christian myth and folklore, but with a more eerie and gory context. And it makes you question what's holy and unholy in the game. So right here, this is Amy. This is Amy Martin. On the topic of myth, what makes faith a modern myth is its ambiguity. In Faith's gameplay, it's never explicitly said that these events that happened in the game were supernatural or psychological. Faith uses Christian myth as a defining narrative. In the lecture Myth and Culture, Levi Strauss explains how myth is a narrative that takes a part of the structure of the story and can be perceived at various levels. Thus, there's no one version of the myth that is the right one, and all interpretations are valid. Since faith plays on the Christian myth of demon possession, we can only assume that demon possession is we can only assume that demon possession plays in with the myth, along with the interpretation of the myth itself in the game, which is the main monster that you have to defeat. So the modern myth continues this tradition of Christian myth through the horror game genre. We see it a lot in several different other game genres under the same guise of um, the holy man going in and exercising these demons, and it adapts religious narratives into for modern audiences. In conclusion, faith continues this tradition of Christian myth through the horror game genre and adapts these narratives for modern audiences in a very nostalgic and approachable way, which faith um which faith does a really good job in. Thank you for watching.